Good evening. Welcome to the Terra Fairs Awards ceremony. My name is Jasmine Mathis from Citizenship and Science Academy of Rochester, and I will be serving as your mistress of ceremony for the evening. Today is the day that we have the opportunity to celebrate these achievements of amazing middle and high school students who prevailed against all odds to present their independent science research and engineering design projects. So today we are excited to celebrate you. Before we dive into the awards ceremony, we would like to take this opportunity to receive some inspiring words from our keynote speaker, Dr. Sulatha Ramanujan. Dr. Ramanujan is a serial entrepreneur and seasoned executive with 25 years of experience in clinical devices and in consumer electronics. Dr. Ramanujan has started, built, and grown 3 startup businesses in cardiac surgical equipment, optical communications, and nanomaterials. In addition, as CTO and product line manager of mammography, CAD, and pediatric businesses with Kodak and Carestream, her team developed and launched clinical equipment and clinical IT on every continent. Dr. Ramanujan has held scientific, technical leadership, and laboratory head positions in Chrysler Corporation, GE, Kodak, Carestream, and Intrinsic Materials. She holds 28 issued U.S. patents. As a corporate investor for Kodak, then later working with regional investment councils, she provides guidance to startups, marketing and advertising strategies for growing businesses, and vetting of technologies to investors. She has served on investment advisories in the US, Canada, and Israel. Dr. Ramanujan holds a PhD in electrical engineering from the University of Michigan and is an executive board member of the National Women's Hall of Fame. She is currently the managing director at NextCorp's Illuminate, the world's largest business accelerator for optics, photonics, and imaging startups. We would like to take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Ramanujan, our keynote speaker.
Hi, everybody. I am going to share my screen as soon as it lets me share my screen. And we can start. Switch to slideshow mode. Okay, can everybody see my screen? Okay, let's get, I'm going to assume yes. Jasmine, if you can give me a thumbs up that everyone can see, that we're good. All right. Hi, everybody. I am going to share a little talk with you, and I call it, Oh, the Places You Will Go, after the Dr. Seuss book. So it was always one of my favorites, and I hope you enjoy it. The science is the reason, and I am a PhD in science and optics, photonics, and imaging. I'm a scientist, I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm an investor. And I'm on a perpetual adventure fueled by science, which I hope is what you are embarking on as well. The thing that I do, this Luminate Accelerator, at this point in my life is we, on behalf of the state of New York, we look around the whole world and we find 10 really promising early stage tech companies working in optics, photonics, and imaging. And we give them $100,000 as an investment up front. And then we spent 6 months working really hard with them to grow their business. And at the end of 6 months, a couple of them get more money for their businesses. And this is our way of bringing great science and technology and business to the state of New York. And also I get to see the cool things just as they come out. So when people ask me, what are you? I tell them I am an entrepreneur. I'm a scientist. I'm a terrible singer. I'm a very slow runner. I'm a climbing instructor and a dancer. I'm a mom. I love tacos. I'm a friend to dogs. But all in all, science has always been the reason that I do the things I do. And I've gotten to see so many exciting places. So with that, I'm going to point to you a map of our planet. Come on, map of our planet. Our planet. Okay, there we go, map of our planet. So I tried to do this thing where I show on the map all the places that I've been, but then I realized that it's much easier to show you all the continents I've not been than it is to actually show you where I have been. I have not yet been to Greenland, Antarctica, and I've not made it to Australia yet, but I've been to every single other continent. And that has probably been more because of the jobs I took and the work and the science. It has taken me absolutely anywhere. Even places where nobody else could go, I got to go. So this is a map of where all my inventions have traveled, which is everywhere. There's actually nowhere, no continent on this planet that the science that we worked on didn't go. And that's very, very exciting to me because it means that somehow or the other, it's touching everyone. So science is the reason that I was riding on a milk crate in Western China somewhere. It's the reason I was standing under the Eiffel Tower taking pictures. It's the reason I was watching movies from the projection booth at the Kodak Theater in Hollywood. Science is the reason I was standing in the radar facility in England's Ministry of Defense. It's the reason I was at the Duke's Palace in Genoa. It's the reason I was in a vegetable garden in Brazil. It's the reason I was riding around in a van through the iceberg areas of Iceland. It's also the reason we set up the classroom for Queen Noor. So the number of exciting adventures and places that we get to go because we are scientists is just outstanding. So I can't think of a better career if you have an adventuring spirit. So I ask you, everybody who's watching, what is your passion? And I give you the quote, and I'm going to see little quotes throughout this talk. They're all from the Dr. Seuss book, Oh, the Places You Will Go. Out there, things can happen and frequently do to people as brainy and footsie as you. So I ask you, what is your passion? Is it medicine? Is it entertainment? Is it sports and fitness? Is it space or communications, environment, cosmetics, fashion, or something else? All of these areas that I'm showing you here, we're going to visit today in today's talk. I'm going to share with you through my scientific adventures, some of my personal experiences with these areas and some of the cool science I've seen from other people from different parts of the world in these different areas. And you can think about how your passion and the things you love drive the things that you do. So we'll start with science and medical imaging. And the question here is you need to solve a real problem. So one of the first things that I want to talk about is when I was working in breast cancer detection. Now, everybody when you focus on medical imaging thinks about how can I get the most cancer detected because I need this to be absolutely perfect. And a lot of times that's not the real problem. You have to ask people, you have to talk to people and find out what their real problem is. And in many, many countries, the problem was that the really high-end equipment used to look at breast cancer and breast cancer imaging cost like $400,000. And a lot of countries, a lot of hospitals, they don't have $400,000. They just don't. So, and the women there don't get any breast imaging, and a lot of them get breast cancer detected too late. So the question came to me, not can I make the top of the line best equipment, because right now it's 98% effective. Can I make it 99? But can I make it affordable? So we went back to the drawing room, my team and I, and we came up with a way that's not 98% effective. It's 92% effective. But it costs $30,000. So suddenly hospitals all over the world, hospitals in South America, in Mexico, in China, hospitals in the poorer parts of this country could put this equipment into their facilities. And when people talk about how good is it, about the efficacy, I will point out to them that before our equipment went in there, it was a 0% early detection rate. Now it's at 92 or 93%. So the problem we were solving was not the best science in the world in terms of detection. It was the best science in the world in terms of cost. So then we turned our attention to pediatrics. When a baby was born premature, you can see a baby x-ray right here. When they're premature, they have tubes in them. They have a feeding tube, they have a breathing tube. And because of that, and they're growing every day, they have to be imaged almost every single day to make sure that those tubes are in the right place. And we're going back about 15, 20 years. So this probably was not used on any of you guys. But at that time, they didn't really have a special X-ray grabbing method for babies. They were basically just toning down the grown-up ones and using it to look at babies. And that's really problematic because while it gives adequate image quality, it's too high power. And radiation damage is cumulative and it's problematic. And they were finding that children, particularly in the 80s and the time period, were coming back with leukemia, childhood leukemia when they were 8 years old because they had been overexposed to radiation as an infant. And that was a real quandary because if you don't take these x-rays when they're babies, the tube is in the wrong place, the baby won't survive. So they have to take the image, but they don't want to overdose the image and have the child become sick later when they're 8. So we took a step back and said, what we have to do is design the right material for babies. So we went right back to the drawing board, to the chemistry, to the molecules of the capture stuff, and designed a new material that helped us look at babies without giving them too much x-ray. And so that invention went everywhere also. So sometimes if you really look at what the problem is, then you go and solve it, then you have a business. And that's one of the most important things I can tell people when they're starting a business is don't build something and then try to convince yourself and everyone else they need it. Go out there and talk to people and find out what's hurting them. And when you know what's hurting them, fix it. So I want to show you a couple other inventions here. So that was the mammo, this was the babies. So one of the companies we picked up is called ThinkBio, and ThinkBio came out of Ireland, and they had started out by building monitors for people working out to kind of get your blood oxygen level and things. This is before the pandemic, and you would run with it, and it was kind of like a Fitbit, but like hyped up. But when COVID hit, they turned around and took their software platform and their monitoring thing, and they just turned it around so that people in nursing homes and elderly people could be monitored better, so that they didn't have to come into the hospital. They could be seen from a distance unless it was a really critical issue. And they're doing phenomenally well. They thought about the problem, which was it's shut down and old people have trouble getting to the hospital. And we really don't want them to come if they don't need to. And they built this great product, and it's still useful because I have elderly parents. My dad's over 90 and my mom's over 80, and they don't need to go to the hospital every time. And they're going to have problems. It's much better if we can just see it from a distance, have the doctor look at it and say, this is really serious or not. Another person here, had a wound detection method. She looked for bed sores and diabetic ulcers. And she had a different way of looking at a problem too. First of all, it's a problem because people don't know how to image those properly in general, and people have really bad bed sores in hospitals. But it's also a problem because all of the imaging equipment out there was designed for white people. And this inventor and this CEO, she's Black. And she knew that the stuff that was out there just wasn't going to work for her or for her family. So she went out there and built something that is robust, that doesn't really look at your skin color. It really looks at higher wavelengths outside of the visible spectrum, so that it's really looking at depth and not surface color. And she's got a phenomenal invention. It's called rubidetection, and she built that, and we think she's going to do really well. But again, she looked at a problem, a real problem that she understood, and she solved it. Next area we're going to look at is science and entertainment. And this one I always say, ask the kids. When we have a whole bunch of adults designing things for entertainment, we're often just wrong. Because like, if you're looking at gaming, my Graham's just not a good gamer. You've got to ask somebody who's actually gaming what they need. So one of the funnest things I was involved in was digital cinema in the 1990s. Until 1990s, all movies were on film. They were traditional film. And we were at that cusp when we were starting to just introduce the first digital projectors and digital capture. And we got to go put it in the theater in Hollywood and sit in the projection booth and just watch the birth of a whole new technology. It was so exciting. And, that moment when everything's changing, that movies are going to change and people are going to be able to watch this stuff at home more easily. And it was just a moment you knew you had changed something super fun. And we also worked on something called immersive imaging at that time. And it used the same basic chemistry or physical project, but it was done to make a 3D image. And what you see here is an imaging installation. It was like a holodeck. Like you'd walk into this little dome-like thing and you're basically in the space. And it was so realistic that we had to start projecting the grid because people would go in there and they start getting kind of queasy because it was so realistic. The biggest problem we had back then, though, is that things still cost like $1 million plus. It really wasn't gamer accessible. It was good for like flight simulating and things like that. But the concept's out there, and you know that we can build the holodeck because we did. And on that note, I'm bringing you to one of our investments that we made fairly recently, a company called Circle Optics, and they're located in Rochester and in Syracuse. And they do real-time 3D capture without any kind of error. And they can attach to drones, and you can kind of imagine, like, now you really have normally you have to capture stuff and there's a lot of software or data processing, so there's always a delay. This is in real time, which is great for military applications, but I think it's just great for fun. And I have to tell you one true goofy story about inventing things. So I had these colleagues or friends years ago that had invented this camera system. They wanted to use it in retail shopping to help watch people, but they didn't have enough money. So they found this guy willing to invest, and he's like, I'll invest, but here's the thing. Before I will give you the money, I need you to go spend a summer in Scotland and see if you can find the Loch Ness Monster. So they spent 3 months on the side of the lake with their cameras looking for Nessie, did not find Nessie, but got the money for their invention. So life happens in strange ways, and they ended up in Scotland. Science and fitness is a really hot area. Nike, Allbirds, I spelled that wrong, Under Armour, they all bought material from my nanomaterials company because you could put really fine metal and electronics into things that was nanoscale. So everything you wear is heavily engineered. It's not, people think it's easy, it's not. Like, that's some high-tech stuff. Organic robotics out of Cornell does sensors in clothing. You can kind of see that here. It's for athletes, and they put the sensors in the clothing, and the trainers and doctors and stuff can watch and see how the athlete's heart rate is, how their muscles are moving. They can really train top notch. Ovitz built this whole visual analysis system that puts special contact lenses, which helps people like me who have corneal damage see really difficult things, but it also helps baseball players and athletes with their visual acuity. And by the way, Nike has the coolest facility ever. I mean, absolutely amazing. I went to visit Nike headquarters, and they're like football fields and soccer. There's everything there, and bamboo. I mean, it's acres and acres of amazing sports stuff. It is so much fun. So the next area I want to talk about is space, the final frontier. I worked for Over the Horizon radar systems, again, back in the 90s, where we designed radars that, looked all the way over the horizon, and we set them up in Saudi and other places in Germany. And recently we invested in a company called Scout Space, and they actually, that's their stuff out in space. It's already out there. They basically navigate space junk. Now, this might sound really funny, but there's so many satellites and things out there in space. Everybody's throwing things out in space. It's getting hard to kind of drive around. So they put these little units out there for satellites to kind of act like traffic maps to help, like, nope, you need to go a little left. So that's their traffic cop out there. You can see the video. That's the only video I put in here, so hopefully it won't be too hard to see. And I see this, put this little quote here. It's opener out there in the wide open air. I love space things. Science and communications. I personally worked in fiber optics metrology in one of our early companies. My materials company worked in cell phones because we needed to make smaller electronics. And we also needed to be ecologically sounder. So this is a pile of copper. Most electronics is done in copper. It's really wasteful. And we end up putting things in the sewer and wasting lots of metal, and that's just not right for our planet. So we need to, that's what we were trying to fix, is better materials. And we recently invested in a company that does underwater communications and stuff instead of satellite. Because you have to think of it this way, if you really had some kind of drone strike or something went deeply wrong in space, you still need to be able to communicate well. So they did a whole underwater system. And so that's kind of some of the stuff we did. And that company is called Sonor, and it came out of here. Science and clean energy. So our environment is a critical issue for all of us. It is our planet, and we need to do a better job with it. And so one of the companies that we've invested in is called Sun Density. I also worked in my materials company, sold to the solar companies, primarily in Asia. So we spent a lot of time in China, which is how I ended up in that milk truck in the middle of nowhere, which if I'd fallen out of that truck, nobody would have ever found me or known. It would have been tragic, just been missing. But solar is really big, and there's always, every little piece of energy we can get out of solar is really important. And there's so much work being done there. We invested in a company called Think Outside out of Norway, and they measure snowmelt and they look at hydropower. They started out by doing avalanche detection for skis, but this is the big business, hydropower. And we also invested in a company called Mesodyne. Mesodyne makes it so you can carry a lot of energy, not like little battery, a lot of energy in a little pack on your back, like enough to like launch rockets. So portable energy, very cool. Science and fashion. These are 4 different applications of science and fashion. OCT for skin. It's an imaging method that you kind of look through the layers of skin. Makeup companies use it to make sure that things look good on you, but also that your face is reacting okay. Nanomaterials in everything. Like this is some kind of like face spray thing. I remember seeing this and they're like, what? That's like $100. And anyway, I don't know what it does, but it sells nanomaterials in the face stuff. Gore-Tex had a lot of material science in it. And recently, very recently, the new and brand new pigment was discovered, a whole new shade of blue. It's never been seen in this direct pigment before, but there it is. It's blue. The screen is not advancing yet. So those are some of the inventions, but I want to tell you a couple of things I want you to keep in mind as scientists. Science requires a conscience. And I quote that book again. It says, with your head full of brains and your shoes full of feet, you're too smart to go down that not so good street. You have to do things with a conscience. When I was doing material science, I was invited to China and I needed to get a client. And I get there and they really want to buy my stuff. And I realized they're going to use it to package cigarettes and make it more like shiny and available to children. And I left. I don't need money. I don't need anyone's money that badly. And you need to remember that science can be misused as well as used well. And we have a responsibility to do the right thing. Entrepreneurs are team players. If you're going to start a business, you need diversity of thought and a common purpose. Here is a really excellent team we've put together. We have Iron Man as the CEO. Hulk is the CTO. Well, that's when he's not like smashing. He's not a good CTO when he's smashing. Black Widow is clearly the chief operating officer because she's got everything buzzing. And Captain America is totally about marketing. So he's the chief marketing officer. But these 4 work really well together. Now, if you put Lex Luthor in there, or if you put Thanos in there, you probably have a lot of dysfunction, which is what happens when you have a non-common purpose. So you want people to be very different and think differently, but you got to point in the same direction. So that's what makes a good team. So that's my winning team there. This is advancing slowly, I'm sorry. One of the other things I think it's terribly important you know is that failure is how we learn. And I remind people that Apollo 11 landed on the moon. Apollos 1 through 10 didn't make it there. So when something doesn't work, you go back and you figure out why, and you are smarter for figuring out why something didn't work. And the next time you're better. Each time you're better. We learn so much from failure from picking ourselves up. And that is the most critical thing you can learn as a scientist. So to quote my book again, my favorite book again, I'm sorry to say so, but sadly it's true that bang-ups and hang-ups can happen to you, and they will. But you will be okay. You'll pick yourself up and you'll do amazing things. So in summary, I ask you, do you have a curious mind, a resilient spirit, and an adventurous soul? And will you succeed? Yes, you will indeed, 98% and 3/4 guaranteed. I expect the best of all of you. So that is, I'm going to stop sharing. And if we have time, I'll take any questions. Will the questions show up in the chat? Okay, so I'm not seeing all the questions, so I'm just going to answer 1 or 2. And if Jasmine, if you can just give me the sign when we're out of time, I'll stop.
Absolutely.
I often get asked the question, what is the first thing you do when you start a business? When you think you have a business idea? What I do is I run out and talk to everybody, and I make sure that it's a really good idea, because the problem is you may think it's a good idea. When you go and ask your mom, she'll tell you it's a great idea because you're her baby. And she's going to say, oh, it's beautiful, honey. Everybody needs one of those. Everybody wants a square wheel because my baby made it. Ask the people that don't know you that well. Ask the people who really don't have any reason to feel one way or another, and they'll be honest and get their answers. And try different things. Try different things. I am not seeing, I don't know if I think we might be closing in on time here. I don't. Okay, so I think we're good. I appreciate everyone listening. I hope it was interesting, and I hope you see that there's so many wonderful things out there for you to invent still. Thank you. So I am going to turn my camera off. Good luck.
Thank you, Dr. Ramanujan, for your empowering words. We are incredibly excited to see where science can continue to take us. Every year, an astounding group of volunteers work for months to prepare your regional science fairs. Terra Science and Education would like to extend our sincerest thanks to the dedicated members of the Fairs Committee. Terra is deeply appreciative for your commitment to the fairs. We would also like to take this moment to encourage every student to take the opportunity to thank everyone who helped you make it here to the fairs. We encourage you to thank your family, your sponsors, your teachers, those who drove you to the fairs, everyone who listened to your presentation as you practiced to prepare for the fairs, all of those people who believed in you. We encourage you to take this time to thank them. And if they're not with you right now, that's okay. We encourage you to pick up the phone tomorrow, give them a call or text, email them, and thank them. To all of the fair committees, to the teachers, to the sponsors, and to all of the outstanding students who competed this year, we extend our sincerest thank you. At this time, we will begin presenting the special awards. Our special awards are sponsored by an array of individuals, companies, organizations, and government agencies. We would like to take this moment to thank them all for their generosity and their vision and commitment to the future. We will read each award, and the name of the award recipients will appear on your screen. The American Psychological Association Award is presented to the following participants for outstanding research in psychological sciences. The ASM International Materials Science Award is presented to the following recipient for outstanding project in materials science. The Association for Women Geoscientists Award is presented to the following recipients that exemplifies high standards of innovation and scientific excellence in the geosciences. The Bobby Alcock Founders Award is presented to the top projects in chemistry. The Bonnie Blackwell and Joel Blickstein Memorial Award is presented to the following recipients for exceptional projects in earth and environmental categories. The Energy 21 Symposium Award recipients are the Ernst's Make a Difference Award was presented to the following recipients that had projects that could change the world for the better. The Helmer Volunteers Award was presented to the following individuals with inspiring potential. The Lemelson Early Inventor Prize is awarded to the following recipients. The Society for In Vitro Biology Award is presented to the following award recipients. The Mu Alpha Theta Award is presented to the following recipients with the most challenging, original, thorough, and creative investigation of a problem involving mathematics. The National Geographic That's Geography Award is presented to the following recipients. The NOAA Award is presented to the following recipients with fine work about science, service, and stewardship in the study of climate, weather, and ocean coasts. The Regeneron Biomedical Science Award is presented to the following recipients for exceptional research that embodies the Regeneron way. The RICO USA Award is presented to the following recipients. The Shelby Hancock Memorial Award is awarded to the following recipients for independent technical achievement. The U.S. Agency for International Development Award is awarded to the following recipients for the potential to make an impact on addressing an international development challenge. The U.S. Air Force Award is awarded to the following recipients. The U.S. Metric Association Award is presented to the U.S. Navy and Marine Corps Office of Naval Research Award is awarded to the following recipients for scientific or engineering excellence. The Wood and Associates Mathematics Award is awarded to the following recipients for the excellent use and understanding of mathematics. The Yale Science and Engineering Association Award is awarded to the following recipients in the areas of computer science, engineering, physics, astronomy, or chemistry. That concludes the announcements of this year's special awards recipients. We would like to extend a congratulations to every recipient that won a special award. We are now moving on to the 3 levels of FAIR's honors. The selections were made by our FAIR judges after their interviews with each of the participants. The Best of Topics presentation is awarded to the following recipients. The Best of Topic Award is presented to the FAIR students who is the most outstanding among those who chose to study a field in depth, often in preparation for a research or engineering design project. The FAIR's honors commend work done that demonstrates understanding of scientific or engineering principles beyond that expected of a student in that particular grade. These students have shown an above average understanding of scientific or engineering principles. Our honors recipients are Congratulations to all of our honors winners. The Terra Fair's High Honors is awarded to students that show above average effort in understandings of principles, oral presentation, and supporting materials. They show well above average effort, attention to detail, and level of interest. Our High Honors Award recipients are It is now time to present the Terra Fair's highest honors awards. The highest honors is the most significant award that the fair judges present. Not only is the student's comprehension markedly above what is expected of a student in that particular grade level, but all aspects of the project embody the word superior. Our highest honors award recipients are Congratulations to all of our honors recipients. Every year, we present to our audience the next year's entering class of senior division scientists and engineers. These students will receive their research notebooks for next year's work and the senior sash that they will wear at next year's live regional fair. The following students are advancing to the 2023 Senior Research and Engineering Design Division. Emmanuel Abraham, Ridwan Ashkar, Justin Randolph, Natasha Torres, Kyle Roth, Amanda Rose Tartik, Atreyu Bloom, Christopher Damaris, Logan Gibson, Mark Larrabee, Jaden Merrow, Brooke Montgomery, and Elijah Snyder. All of those students that are crossing over, we encourage you to take this opportunity to give a warm and sincere thank you to your sponsors, teachers, mentors, and families, everyone who have supported you in your work this past year. They have prepared you well for next year's adventures. So to all of those mentors and sponsors, thank you. We are now moving into the final presentation portion of the 2022 award ceremony. These are our grand awards. The Terra Fair's grand awards are presented to individuals or schools who will receive scholarships or grants, and to those students who will represent their regional science fair at future competitions or symposia, including Genius Olympiad and the Regenerate International Science and Engineering Fair. The St. John Fisher College Award is presented to Amy Fang. Congratulations, Amy. The NYU Hendon School of Engineering Awards is presented to the following recipients. The Engineering Impact Award is presented to Johnny Shee. The STEM Impact Award is presented to Grady Yu, Lumia Pajo, Paul Lenza, and Sophie Livingston. The Growing STEM Award is presented to Victoria Lee. Congratulations, Victoria. The Hempel Educators Award is presented to the following inspiring educators or fair directors: Knowledge Shakundi, Michael Gendler, Heather Storkey. The Terra Educators Awards is a cash grant for schools for STEM educators. These are schools who have advanced the most students to their regional fairs. So from the Terra Northeast Regional Science and Engineering Fair, the following award recipients are Buffalo City Honors High School in St. Aloysius, Gonzaga School, Buffalo. Moriah Central School and St. Lawrence Central High School. RIP Science Technology Entry Programs and Athena Middle School and East High School, Rochester. The Broadcom Masters are the following recipients that are advancing to the middle school national competition: Ashley Nagel, Ava Ballone, Claire Tartik, Marilise Belize, Celeste Derry, Braden Thompson, Grant Vin, and Joseph Caslow. The Stockholm Junior Water Prize is awarded to the following recipients that are advancing to the Water Environment Federation's New York State competition: Kyle Roth, Sonia Haskell, Davin Van, Tamana Holson, Quinn Gao, Sean Marquitas, and Rowan North. The Stans Science Congress recipients are advancing to the New York State Science Congress: Mo Wu, Wimeth Desenayaki, and Madeline Cotter, and Beatrice Brooks. The following recipients are advancing to international competition focused on the environment and bettering human ecology. The following recipients are moving forward to participate in Genius Olympiad: Grant Wang, Andrea Marziano, Micah Kim, and the team of Sean Markadis and Rowan Nordist, Lauren Pisakova, and Jessica Gart, Memory Bongo, Gabriela Raziz, and the team of Dylan Basante, Joshua Lyon, and Michael Newtown. The Regenerate ISEF recipients are Sophie Zhu, Amelia Calder, Amelia Caslow, Emily Pinero, Utkarsh Matel, Rujanj Ignorti, and Baswal Ayush, as well as Nishant Lahiri. These recipients are advancing to the international competition that's offering nearly $5 million in awards. Samuel Ishkov, Jasmine Palmer, Michelle Wu, Ashke Shivdasani, Sri Kola, Samuel Rosberg, Alvin Chin, Ava Chung, Aaron Kim, Victoria Lee, Sky Lamb, Arthur Lane, Sukana Shiv, Laura Van Luke Zhao. Again, we extend our heartiest congratulations to all of you who have joined us today. Your fair committees are really looking forward to the work you bring next year. We would like to congratulate every student that participated and every student that was a recipient of awards. We would also like to extend our thank yous to the directors, committees, parents, and teachers and sponsors. We would like to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors. Again, congratulations to all of our award recipients tonight, as well as our sponsors, committee members, families, and teachers of these students. We will see you in 2023, hopefully with a live event. Thank you all for participating in this year's Terra Fair Awards. Have a wonderful evening.